Nickelodeon is one of the biggest animation juggernauts in the world, and throughout the years, they have released countless products. Today, we'll be talking about the rarest of the rare. Some stuff that was sold in stores, some stuff given to employees, and some stuff that you have never even heard of. So make sure you grab some popcorn and don't miss a thing. So like I said, we're going to be covering the rarest Nickelodeon items. This is a little bit different from the last one we did, which I covered the rarest Cartoon Network items. This one, because Nickelodeon has been like my primary focus, I actually have a lot of the items that we're going to be using for examples that I can show you guys physically, but I had to separate it 5 different categories of some stuff that we'll be covering in order to make it even doable. So number 5, again, will be retail. These are items that you could find at stores, whether they be Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, Hot Topic, any places where you could have walked in and purchased them. No kind of special passport, employee badge, nothing. But for whatever reason was just really, really tough to get. Number 4, when we did Cartoon Network, we used the Cartoon Network online store as the example because some of the most legendary items came from the online store. But for this case, Nickelodeon didn't have like a very prevalent online presence. So instead, we're going to be doing theme park or hotel pickup items. Number 3, these are, you had to be there, right time, right place. These are promotional items that you could only get at conventions, sweepstakes, mail-ins, Nick Magazine exclusives, stuff like that. And then number 2, that's where we start getting really rare. That is employee only production material items that you could have only gotten had you worked at Nickelodeon or was a part of the upper echelons of Viacom marketing. And number 1 is going to be samples, prototypes, statues, stuff that they've made 1, maybe 2 of in existence. So without any further ado, let's get into number 1, retail. Believe it or not, shows like Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, The Wild Thornberrys, Rocket Power, Cat Dog, and many, many, many more actually had merch. You just likely never saw most of it. So let's talk about some of those items. So first off here, I brought a couple up. These were ones that are available via sold listings or something that I could find via Google Image. And through my years of collecting, I have seen so many items, but I wanted to pick items that I could actually show you via a picture online. Some of the stuff that I have in my head and I know exists, I can't quite find pictures of, so I have to go with what stuff is available for me to show you right now. And one of them is this right here, this Vicky body pillow. I had no clue this even exists. I've got quite a decent size Fairly Odd Parents collection here. And when it comes to Fairly Odd Parents, I would probably say the Palisades figures are what come to mind for me when it comes to some of the rarest stuff. But I had no clue that a Vicky body pillow even was a thing. The fact that somebody, I can't even believe they made this, and you can clearly see there is a regular retailing tag on it. I don't even think we have a Timmy body pillow plush like this. I know there's a Cosmo and Wanda fish one, and I also know there's a Cosmo and Wanda fish bowl one, but I don't even think there's a Timmy one. So the fact that there was some kid cuddling up with Vicky just blows my mind. Next up, we have Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom merch is, oh my, painfully hard to find. So I love Danny Phantom. It's one of my favorite things to collect, but boy is it tough. One of the rarest items that is, I wouldn't even say it's rare. It's actually one of the more accessible items, but it's expensive because there's not that much stuff when it comes to Danny Phantom, is this Danny Phantom figure. I actually have one in the collection here signed by the voice actor as well as Butch Hartman, and there's actually, believe it or not, a gray variant of this that exists too. I need to get that gray variant eventually, but there's so many other things that I'm missing in the collection that I would rather get something new than something that I technically kind of already have. But if I found him, oh, color me gray.
I'm a gray blob!
We also have one here from Eureka's Castle. This is a figure of Batty, and anything with Eureka's Castle is also, pretty hard to find, but you could have just bought it at the store at some point. Next up, we have Rocket Power. This right here is the remote control skateboarding Reggie. She goes for about $200 consistently. Super expensive. I would love to have this in my collection one day. I am very fortunate to have quite a sizable collection of Rocket Power stuff due to our Mail Time series, and I even have Madtown Skate Park, which is another one of those rare items. But when it comes to Rocket Power, there's a ton of rare stuff, including some of the original Rocket Power skateboards that will pop up on screen for you now. And the rarest of the rare, the grail of all Rocket Power items, is the Rocket Power helmets. Only 3, I believe, have ever even been seen. I have 2 of them in my collection, again, from a member of the rep pack that goes by the legendary Don the Well.
First up, Dom the Whale.
And I wouldn't even have those if it wasn't for him being a huge rocket power that is always seeking this stuff out. But all the kids' iconic helmets, Sam, Twister, Reggie, and Otto did have helmets that were available via retail. That would be probably the rarest you can get when it comes to retail items, one of the rarest. Next up, we have a Muddy Mud Skipper here from the Ren and Stimpy show. Ren and Stimpy merch was actually produced quite a bit, so they had a lot of awesome stuff that came out. But because it was in the 90s where everything, I feel like America finally realized like how mass production worked, because man, comic books, trading cards, sports cards, everything that could be mass produced, they were printing it to oblivion. So Ren and Stimpy stuff, on average, most of the retail stuff isn't all that rare, but the Muddy Mud Skipper is an obscure character that, you know, didn't get as many merchandise releases as Ren and Stimpy for sure. So for that reason, can be one of the more sought after ones. Next up is the Jimmy Neutron merch. Although Jimmy Neutron did have an entire run on Nickelodeon, not a complete run, I will add, but despite it having such a long run and being an iconic Nickelodeon show, in my mind, part of the holy trinity of Nickelodeon, most of the merchandise that came out for Jimmy Neutron was not actually, released to go with the TV show, but actually the movie. So most of the stuff that came out was during that early point of the movie's release, and some of those figures can go for hundreds of dollars, as you can see here with this Cindy Vortex. But by far the most expensive Jimmy Neutron item that was available via retail is the Sheen as Ultra Lord figure, which is Sheen essentially with the Ultra Lord mask on. It's quite a beautiful figure. Again, I'm very fortunate to have that one in my collection. Unfortunately, I never made an actual Ultra Lord figure, and I think that that would be up there with the Nickelodeon greats if they did. But there was a lot of other Jimmy Neutron merch: pillows, body pillows, spirit pillows, all types of pillows and other stuff. It's all pretty rare for the most part. We also have Oswald. This is the merch for Nick Jr. shows that is very, very sought after. Shows like Oswald, Little Bill, Little Bear, Little House on the Prairie. Okay, maybe not that one. It probably was on TV Land though, which is owned by Viacom, which owns Nickelodeon. But you don't remember the Little House on the Prairie action figures? But all of those early Nick Jr. shows can have really sought after merch. Example here is an Oswald plush that goes for over $200. Next up, when it comes to Rugrats, Rugrats is very much kind of like Ren and Stimpy, where there is a ton of merch out there, but there are some really truly rare items. One that I actually am fortunate again to have with the original box is the Reptar wagon, being a wagon that you could physically ride on and be pulled on by a rope by a parent or guardian, or if you're really risky, a older brother or sister. I let my older sister do that, and my knees still have the scars to show it. But that item itself, out of box, I mean, for a long time you couldn't even find this thing, so it's rare that actually you have one here out of box that sold for $150, but I think in the box it can easily sell from anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Next up, Cat Dog. Cat Dog has a ton of merch too, pretty much all of it is expensive, and we could sit here and talk about obscure shows on Nickelodeon that have so much merch, but it's just hard to find. Like, for example, Fanboy and Chum Chum, Aro Monsters, Angry Beavers. That could literally be its own video. So I think when it comes to retail, we're gonna go ahead and move on here. I will feature a couple other obscure items that I think are kind of cool. Here's some plushies that are from Back at the Barnyard, a Nickelodeon show that was based off of the Back at the Barnyard movie. We also have the Mindy plush from the SpongeBob movie. It's the only piece of merchandise she ever received. Can't move on from this subject without talking about the Nick Blasters line, which includes all the phones, alarm clocks, radios, all these items that are up here. This is one of the items that I wish I had more of in my collection, but all of them are very, very expensive. So with any further ado, let's get serious. We are going into number 4, which is items that were exclusively to theme parks or hotel locations. Okay, I tried my best not to put a Funko Pop on this list. I didn't even cover it in the retail section because I was like, okay, yeah, you know about Funko Pops, all right? But I had to add this one because it is really rare and it also includes something from a theme park. This is the SpongeBob Celebration. If you're a SpongeBob fan, it's just an ongoing meme that they will take regular old things and just add some kind of SpongeBob related, water related thing or ocean related thing to it and then make it a word. I'm ready or not to go. But when it comes to the Celebration, this was an event they had at Universal Studios, and that's where you were able to acquire this Funko Pop. You could only receive this Funko Pop via a claw machine that they actually had available at the Celebration event.
Squidward, I'm being the crane.
Oh, that's ludicrous. Winner!
See?
You would go to the celebration event, you would get a little token that you were able to use to put into the claw machine, and using the claw machine, you could hopefully, if you were lucky, be able to pull out one of these celebration Funko Pops. I don't think that all of the ones that are in circulation were due to people winning the claw machines. I think a lot of times people think that sweepstakes or promotional items are all received via the person actually getting them, but whatever they manufactured, if nobody won them all, they still had to liquidate them out somewhere, gave them to employees, wherever it was, you know, some way they got out there. But nonetheless, that one is extremely special and very limited print. For that reason, it goes for well over $1,000. I have one in my personal collection, but as the same case with Cartoon Network, most of the items that I have on this list that I got in my collection, I did not pay that much. I got them at a way cheaper price. I think I paid $200 for mine. Next up is this right here. This is the real stuff. This was something you could only get exclusively at Universal Studios. It is a binder as well as a VHS that you could have received had you been there on the day they were actually giving this stuff out. And it comes with an awesome VHS tape that just kind of features all the Nickelodeon aspects of Universal Studios. Next up is this opening day poster. This poster was based off of a photo that was taken at Universal Studios, and I personally don't even know where this was available. It almost looks like something that was like only in a Nickelodeon studio or office, but all of those kids that you see there are pretty much icons now, just being in the right place, right time. They were there on the opening day of Nickelodeon Studios and got posterized. Usually you have to do an amazing slam dunk or what do they call the hits in baseball? A strike, a goal, a run, a home runner.
Whoa!
Oh, that sound is not what a pitcher wants to hear. Home run!
Next up, the Universal Studios Jimmy Neutron Toon Tour, I believe the ride is called in full name. This is a roll of stickers. I wanted to bring this one up though because there's several things for this, whether it's pins, t-shirts, I mean really it's just those things. Towels, and then also these stickers. I think that's an amazing piece because it's literally like the Nickelodeon in-game where everybody came into one special event. We'll play some footage right now of the actual ride. Thankfully, the footage from that ride was leaked after the ride was closed down because essentially the ride was the only way of accessing that media, and unfortunately you can't experience it with the full roller coaster, you know, effect, but at least you can see the footage. Next up, we're going to talk about the Nickelodeon Hotel Family Suites. There's some lunch boxes here. These are some gift bags they would give at Hotel Embassy Suites. There's one for Jimmy Neutron, the Rugrats, and I think a couple other ones too, but essentially they were gift bags they gave out only at hotels. This is a towel that you could only receive at the Nickelodeon Hotel Family Suites on the grand opening. No, I'm not going to the grand opening ceremony.
No, I am not on my way over to the grand opening ceremony. I'm busy planning to rule the world!
But I do have those, even though I didn't get to go to the grand opening ceremony. I do have them. I have the towel, and I also have this really rare token set of all the tokens you could actually use in the Nickelodeon Hotel Family Suites arcade. It's not easy to say Nickelodeon Hotel Family Suites very fast 5 times. I just have said it so many times that I'm used to saying Nickelodeon Hotel Family Suites. But I've actually never seen those coins up for sale ever again, so I'm really glad that I have them, but a pretty rare item. And then not just that, there's a bunch of SpongeBob related merch that you can find at the SpongeBob store pants. And I was almost going to move on from this, but there's also the Nickelodeon Paramount Parks was another theme event that they had. You can see right here this Splat City backpack from the Paramount Parks. There's a plush right here, a pineapple SpongeBob with backpack. I actually have this in the vault somewhere. They also have these towels here for Ren and Stimpy. Nickelodeon did a lot more in terms of like theme parks than a lot of other brands outside of, again, Disney. So you also have the Nickelodeon Universe stuff as well too. We'll pop up a couple Nickelodeon Universe items. I'm trying my best to cover as much as I possibly can, but in reality, it's just too big of a topic, like I said. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3, which is stuff you could only receive right place, right time, convention exclusive, promotional items, stuff like that. Let's do it. Okay, when it comes to SpongeBob promotional items, there are some iconic big scale ones. Like for example, the SpongeBob Burger King inflatable. This is the inflatable that was available at Burger King, the one that actually sat on top of the restaurant during the release of the SpongeBob movie. One thing I will say though is there's much lesser known ones. There were other SpongeBob inflatables that went on top of Burger King, including one where he had a crown. But that one is essentially, I would say, lost merchandise or lost media because of the fact that I've never seen it ever come up for sale. There's also a different type of the SpongeBob inflatable that looks, I feel like, a little bit more akin to the SpongeBob movie SpongeBob animation, but only the ones that were at their like biggest locations possibly, because I don't think that they were even something that a lot of people even experienced experience. I am fortunate to have one of these SpongeBob Burger King inflatables in my collection, and that is one of the greatest promotional items ever. I can't even lie. Next up, banners. When it comes to the SpongeBob, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Wild Thornberries, there's tons of awesome banners that they made for those movies that if you worked at the movie theater or you knew somebody, you could possibly receive, including also standees. There's a ton of standees for different movies that did exist that are tough to find, but I think Nickelodeon did really well when it comes to banners. We're popping up a ton of them on screen for you, but stuff like that is kind of what we're talking about here. Those are all extremely rare. Next up, promotional VHSs. These are VHSs that were given as screener copies for different locations. So for example, if you went to a Blockbuster or if you went to a Best Buy and you were looking at their VHS section, often back in the day you had those TVs that would kind of be like rested up in the air or on a shelf somewhere, and they'd be playing some of the stuff that was available to you. These screener copies would usually come with a case of VHS tapes, being one of like 30 or 40 or 50, however big the case size is, that was for the store to actually put on to kind of showcase and promote whatever the tape had, but was not made to be sold to the public. Meaning that there's enough out there to where people can collect them, but far less than the regular VHS tape, making them highly collectible. But here's a bunch of the VHS screeners. Next up, sweepstakes. We have the SpongeBob life-size plush. This one is right here in the room. Only some targets actually participated in, and of those targets, every target only got one of these life-size SpongeBobs that you could have actually entered a sweepstakes to win. We also have the sweepstakes PlayStation 2, which only 50 were made. It was a special giveaway item that was done via Nickelodeon magazine, and it's pretty much just a regular PlayStation, but it has this one little tiny Nickelodeon stamp on it. I want it. I want it so bad though. There's this thing that's been on eBay for I don't even know how long, but this is a pre-screener winner. So apparently when SpongeBob had a pre-screening event, you were able to possibly win this deflated, sad, saggy snow globe. This guy's asking $1 million for it.
I've only got 7.
I don't know if he's gonna get that, but you know, that is the item. That is a promotional item. Very cool. I would love to have one, but I wouldn't give him more than 50 bucks. That's not even a cool thing to display. It looks sad. Next up, we have the Nickelodeon blimps, the inflatable blimps. From what I heard, these were actually given out at Pizza Hut locations. So a pretty accessible one, but because it's an inflatable, they do often get damaged. They get holes in them. And for many years, had it had a hole in it, you would have just thrown it away. Nowadays, though, there's something sought after. So, you know, they can go for, you know, several $100 bucks. Oh, why do you do this to me, Funko? You make me have to include these. Oh, my stomach. NFT. Oh, do you guys, I'm so glad the NFT thing's over. Do you guys remember that where people were spending thousands and thousands of dollars on something that was on their screen? Yeah, well, Funko had an NFT thing going on. So due to that, there was a lot of figures that you could only get using an NFT to purchase. And that came with a bunch of NFT Funko Pops. I embarrassingly do own a couple of them. But, you know, we're going to skip over those. This one is just a personal grail of mine. There was a Kid Cuisine contest where you could actually win this Danny Phantom Video Now. I would love, that's one of my dream grail items, is this Danny Phantom Video Now. I've been looking one for years. Every time they come up, I always miss them, but they do come up from time to time. So I would love to get that one eventually, but, you know, it's a tough one. We also have with that, you have the SpongeBob Xbox. This is a fairly recent one, the SpongeBob and also TMNT Xbox that was available. And when you talk about convention related items, you have the TMNT related one, which is the SpongeBob Shredder TMNT figure. And you can't talk about TMNT without talking about Comic-Con, because when it comes to Comic-Con, TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is the king of it. There are so many exclusive figures that were only available via Comic-Con that are Nickelodeon branded, and I think that's a good place to send this one off. Again, there are so many convention exclusives, so many sweepstakes items, so many things that fit in this category that I could have talked about. I'm just picking up some of the ones that I could give you guys photos of, but in like a few months, we could probably do this whole thing again and find so many other new ones. Let's move on to topic number 2. This is where you gotta be a real man. A real man. To be able to survive, or a woman with a mustache. Either one. You gotta be a real woman or a man to get into this category, because these are employee exclusives. Let's start off with these, probably one of the most iconic and most notable employee-only items, and that is the employee-only bobbleheads. These were bobbleheads that were given to the cast of crew cast and crew of many different shows during the 2007 era of Nickelodeon. So some of the cast and crews that got these bobbleheads were for shows like, for example, Fairly Odd Parents. We have the full set in this collection. El Tigre, Avatar: The Last Airbender seems to be the most expensive set, but in my opinion, the rarest and the hardest one to find, because I think there's also the most of it, is actually SpongeBob. And I believe that's actually it. There is a Tommy Pickles Year 1 celebration bobblehead as well too, that if you worked at Nickelodeon for 1 year, you were able to receive, but that one seems to be a lot more, you know, common comparatively to the other ones. I mean, look at these Avatar: The Last Airbender ones. This guy's charging a house amount of money. Not a house here, but a house most places. A house amount of money for these freaking figures. I don't think they're worth that. I've seen the set sell for about $1,000 before, but people will just aim for the moon when they have something, of course. Next up here, we have this Rugrats 10-year anniversary bronze sculpture. This was actually something that was given to Nickelodeon Studios in celebration of the Rugrats, and it actually has all of the kids' shoes bronzed here. This has been on eBay for quite a while now. Very, very cool piece. I just don't think it's visually the best look. It kind of looks like a scab or something, like, you know, some kind of weird organic material made up. But what it's parodying is that, like, often in the 90s, a lot of kids, 90s and 80s, a lot of parents would get their kids' shoes bronze to kind of like have as a memory and like a ode to their childhood, essentially. But so they kind of did that with the Rugrats' shoes in order to give it that kind of same vibe. But I would still love to have this in my collection, but it's not something that's like super high on my list. Next up, these are recent. These came up. These are Oh Yeah cartoons VHSs. Some of the most iconic Nickelodeon shows were featured in Oh Yeah cartoons. Some of the examples I can think of off the top of my head are Fairly Odd Parents.
I'm Cosmo.
I'm Wanda.
And we're your fairy godparents!
My Life as a Teenage Robot.
I understand how you feel. Your powers are still developing, and it's bound to be a confusing time.
And I want to say Chalk Zone. These are all shows that were featured on a special series that was called Oh Yeah Cartoons, and then in some cases were so beloved that became full-blown Nickelodeon shows. These are VHS tapes that were given to one of these showrunners as screener copies to give them an example of how it was going to look like on the show. So these versions of the episodes were never actually aired. This right here is an Amanda Show cast and crew wrap jacket, a jacket they gave out to the cast and crew as the show was finishing up. Who knows? Dirty Dan, dirty classic Mr. Bakery Man. Could have been wearing this jacket. I mean, that's probably a little small, but you could have been. I don't know if you'd want that one, but you know, you never know. This right here is a 10-year anniversary snow globe that was given to employees at Nickelodeon Magazine for the 10-year anniversary. Again, I am able to have one. I'm lucky to have one of these in my collection due to our fan mail series. Super, super blessed. I thought it was something I would never be able to have. So cool to have that. We also have some Nickelodeon employee fridges like this one here. We have this clock you guys can see popping up on screen here for you. This awesome Nickelodeon Studios blimp that was given away to Universal Studios employees. There's so many items again that could be encompassed in this category, but without spending the entire day on each category. That is number 2. Let's get to I don't even know why I had to do that. Let's get into the rarest of the rare. These are prototypes, samples, statues, things like that. So let's start with statues because that's my personal favorite thing, and that is Nickelodeon statues. So there were statues that were built for places like Universal Studios. There's been statues that they made for places like Nickelodeon Universe. There's been statues they made for Paramount Parks. So these are technically theme park items, but they're not something that the public could have purchased. They were stuff that was designed to be thrown away after those different events ended or those locations closed. In most cases, these statues were designed to be destroyed because intellectual property rules most companies have is that when they close down these type of structures, they do destroy them, so that way that they don't get used in some kind of other way to open up new events that are maybe unlicensed but would have kind of an official appeal using these official assets. For example, I have a Nickelodeon sign here in my room that was from the Nickelodeon store. There was 2 versions of the signs. from 2 different locations, and of the 2 different signs, one of the signs was cut completely in half by the same person that I got this sign from, and this guy kind of stored it in his storage locker for like 15 years until some guy on the internet bought it. More than 15 years, but it was not designed to still be around. We also have another one in the room, which was located at Nickelodeon Universe near the aquarium. This one, again, I don't even know how this one got out to the public, but for whatever reason did. This statue in particular kind of has circulated the internet for many years from different owners, and now I think it finally has a final resting place, at least until I have my final resting place in the collection. But we'll pop up a bunch of different statues from different theme parks and locations like that that do exist. Some of them we don't know if they do exist still, but at some point they did. Next up, we have maquettes. These are really scarce. Most of the maquettes for Nickelodeon were never meant to see the public. Nickelodeon Studio has an incredible archive of maquette artist proofs, which are these grayed out ones. They did release for SpongeBob the animators maquettes of SpongeBob and Patrick, which I think are behind me somewhere, but they never released the artist proofs of them. I found a random pop-up lucky circumstance version of one of the animator maquettes in that grayscale design. It was never meant to see the public. It actually came from somebody who actually worked on the statues, much like this Blue's Clues here. This Blue's Clues we have up on screen for you. This is only available because this is being sold by the guy who actually sculpted these. So they have the original version of it before this final product was made, but this final product would then go on to be the maquette that the animators used to actually reference in the studio when working on the show. So if you can have the colored maquettes, they're very rare, except for the SpongeBob ones that were limited to 2,000 pieces. The ones that were in studio were probably less than 100, but these grayscale ones are 1 of 1 or 1 of 5, very, very limited. And I'm pretty sure in most cases, again, because of the fact that Nickelodeon has such an archive of them, most cases were actually made to be sent back to Nickelodeon. But here's some other stuff. Here is some Adidas boots that were going to be a part of an Avatar The Last Airbender collaboration. So these are sample shoes. These would have been sent to Nickelodeon to get their approval before releasing them. I have a couple sample products in my collection. Like, for example, this sample Reptar. This was a plush that was sent to the team in Nickelodeon New York in order to essentially decide if they were going the right direction with the product. So most cases are 1 of 1, so making them extremely, extremely rare. Some sample plushes are a little bit more common. If they're ones that were produced in China, they might have just stayed in the shop locations. They may have maybe made like up to 50 or 60 samples, but still very rare. We have a sample here of a Crumb plush, and being a Nickelodeon fan, it's so fun because most of these samples I know what the final product is, including that Ren and Stimpy. We also have a sample here of Bob from a Kablam toy line. I don't know if this is from a recent line of Kablam toys, because I think they did do some really high quality ones just recently. We have a Ren and Stimpy sample here of a pretty iconic Ren and Stimpy toy, and then this one sold for $500. This is a sample sculpt, a prototype sculpt of the Pocket Blaster, one of the most iconic Nickelodeon blaster products. So that's essentially what I'm talking about when I'm talking about those prototypes, because most of this stuff was made 1 of 1 or 1 of 20, you know, super, super rare limited production runs. And I think that is it. So we have discussed the rarest Nickelodeon items to exist by at least covering all the different categories of rarity. So if you are getting into collecting, that is essentially how it goes, from the least rare to the most rare. That is a good baseline understanding of Nickelodeon and cartoon collecting. Hit the like button if you guys haven't already. Subscribe if you're new here. This video took hours of research, actually days if I'm being real, days of research, really years if you're talking about like some of the stuff in my banked knowledge, but really days of research to compile all this stuff. So please hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate that, and maybe even subscribe. That would be so awesome. But if you want to support the show further, you can check out our Patreon, which is linked down below. You can also become a member here on YouTube. That gives you access to content that is not available anywhere else, including early release, ad-free, and extended versions of every video on Patreon. Plus, you can come to our Discord where I'm available 24/7, and we have awesome discussions about all the stuff we love here. But I will see you guys in this video over here that I know you're gonna love. And as always, beautiful people, in the next one. Adios and bloop!